It is more than an honor that on today's Birdie booth we have a legend, a legacy, and a founder of the LPGA, the one and the only Shirley Spork. For us girls, I know hundreds of more who will watch this. Having you take your time to tell us stories and answer our questions is so incredible, and we are so humble and excited to have you on to join us today. Before we get started, Shirley, I would love to introduce you to our beautiful Birdie Booth team. So my name is Sara Matos. I am 15 years old. I am the vice president of our leadership committee, and I have been playing golf for 5 years. Sophie?
Wow. Hi, I am Sophie Estrada. I am 11 years old. I am the junior ace advertiser of Girls Golf of Miami, and I've been playing golf for 2 years. Sabrina?
Thank you, Sophie. Hi, Shirley. My name is Sabrina Sobrino. I'm 9 years old, and I'm a sweet scrambler in the leadership committee. And I've been playing golf for 6 years. Back to Sarah.
Wow. So I know we all have our own questions, but before we start, I'd like to go through your bio. So Shirley is 93 years old. She turned professional in 1950 as one of the founders of the LPGA Tour. She attended Michigan State College, which is now called Eastern Michigan University, in 1945. She won the National Intercollegiate Golf Tournament in 1947, and she started the LPGA Tour in 1950. And Shirley began to teach golf in 1954. She was also involved in creating the LPGA Teaching Division. And in 1962, she came second in the LPGA Championship and tied 8th in the Women's Open. Shirley won the LPGA Teacher of the Year Award in 1959 and in 1984. Inducted into the Eastern Michigan University Hall of Fame in 1981, and she won the Heritage Award from the SCPGA in 2017. She also won the Patty Berg Award in 2015, and she was inducted into the PGA Hall of Fame in 2019. She also was a part of the LPGA Founders movie in 2016, and she wrote an autobiography in 2017 called From Green to Tea, which I have right here, which for all the girls, I've read it and it changed my life. It has so many perspectives about golf for women, and I was changed. So I love this book for all the girls. It's a definite amazing book. So you were one of the 13 founding members. So who were closest to you, and how was the founders formed?
Well, my closest friend was Marilyn Smith. I met her playing in the National Intercollegiate Tournament at Ohio State University. And she was a famous amateur golfer in the state of Kansas. And we talked about the fact that there had been a WPGA golf tour that went belly up. So we wanted to compete. We wanted to keep playing golf, but there was no tour. So we both decided to go to college. And along the way, we went to play in a tournament called the Women's Western Open in Chicago in April of 1949. And at that tournament was a very, very famous lady, which you all can read about on your computer, Babe Dietrichson, who was an athlete that did all sports and was in the 1932 Olympics and won medals in jumping, and she jumped over the bar backwards, which they had never done before, and they said it was illegal. So she jumped at the highest, but they didn't give her the medal. So today they all jump that way, but she's the one that started it. So it was because of her at this tournament. She was the head pro there, where we played. And we were eating breakfast, and she was on the booth. I was looking toward her, and she said, "Listen, kid," she said, "we're going to start a tour. It's going to start next year, and we need numbers. Why don't you join? Why don't you become a golf pro?" So I said, "Well, how do you do that?" And she said, she got up, walked around the table, boom, and hit me on the head. And she said, I pronounce you a pro. Go down there on the tee and tell me you're a pro. And that's how I turned pro. And that's a real story. And so I had to walk down a hill to the first tee. I thought, should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? I thought, I'm going to do it. And I walked up on that tee and I said to the lady, Mrs. Dennehy, who was president of the Women's Western, announce me as a pro today. And she looked at me and she said, really? She said, does your mother know that? And I said, no, but she'll know tonight when I call her on the phone. And that's what started it. And that was in April. So then in September, we played the USGA, the big USGA Open, Women's Open. And they brought the charter to Wichita and we signed it. So that's how I became a founding member. And never dreamed that we would be able to travel the whole United States. That's all we had in mind, the whole United States. And in the beginning, when we turned professional and worked for a company, Marilyn Smith worked for Spalding and they gave her an automobile, brand new automobile every year. Because in between the few tournaments we had when we started, we went and gave golf clinics at your golf course or at a military base and tried to get women interested in the game, because this is right after World War II. And the boys that were in the service came home and they started businesses and they joined golf groups or country clubs, and the manufacturer wanted to sell women's golf clubs. So they needed someone to help design them. So each of us, like the Babe, worked for Wilson, and Patty and Louise Suggs worked for McGregor. And I signed up with a company called Golf Craft, which became Titleist. And we would test clubs and help design them. I liked, my favorite color was green. So I wanted dark green leather grips and I wanted a dark green head on the wood. You know, you kids don't use distance clubs that are wood anymore. They're graphite or metal. So we were their testers, but today they use equipment. They don't need people, individuals. They do it all on a computer. So golf has changed a lot, and I just learned yesterday about a golf club XX11, and I thought, wow, what is that?
That's odd. But
X11, there was an XX10, but it's so big and it's gone to XX11. So I thought, well, I better go find out about it. So I went over to the big PGA store here, and the gentleman looked at this old lady and said, you know, like, what do you want here, lady? And I said, I want to look at the new XX10. He said, oh no. He said, there's an XX11. And I said, well, I'd like to hit it, see what I think about it. So he said, I said, I'd like to see a senior shaft. He said, I have a lady shaft. That's all you need. Okay. So he brought this demo club and I hit it in this driving net. And it was surprising how the sound, I could, even with my hearing aids, the club was going
Incredible.
faster. Why do you think it goes faster? Who can answer that question? Why did the club go faster? Who can answer it for me?
could it be that it has like a bigger club face?
Okay, how about Sophie? What do you think?
No, I don't really know, but I think it might be the speed.
Yes. Sabrina?
Maybe it could be smaller.
Okay.
Be
Now,
smaller.
can I tell you the answer?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's the lightest shaft ever made. The weight of the shaft is so light. It's like you took a string and moved it back and forth with something on the end. You're gonna increase more speed. So it's big time stuff. But when I found out how much it was, I thought, oh my Lord in heaven, it would take forever to save enough money to buy one. But that's what it is today. And so I talked to a couple of friends of mine that are men golf professionals, and they're at a club, they're club pros. They are using it, the club. So it does swing faster, and the more speed you have, the more force you have, the ball will go farther. So down the lane on your bucket list in the future, you might be saving money or towards maybe getting something like that someday. But right now, it's just too expensive. I wouldn't even pay for one. What would they wanted?
So talking about the future, we'd like to know,
$699 for one golf club. Oh my, holy moly. So how can you take your club and swing it faster? Is you turn it upside down, your driving club, turn it upside down and swish it back and forth with just your lead hand. If you're all right-handed, your left hand. And you hear a noise and a swish and a swish. Then you turn it the right way and try to create that swishing sound. So how do you make the club go faster? You get out of its way.
when you were a little girl, what were your dreams and how were they supported?
Well, when I was a little girl, we just kind of moved from the city to the outskirts of the city, and I was 12, 13 years old, and we moved next to a golf course. Our property adjoined the golf course. I found some golf balls. I went down around and they sliced the ball into our property. So I found some golf balls. And then I walked over on the area that they started on. I didn't know what you called it, the tee box now. And there were some little wooden things. So I picked those up. So I had balls and tees, and the caddies, the boys in the neighborhood caddied. And they said on Monday, it was free for the caddies to play golf. But if I had a club, I could play with them. Well, I didn't have a club. But I sold those golf balls and I got $1 and I went and bought a golf club for $1. So my beginnings was just because it was something to do. I had no instruction. There was no clinics and no junior golf and all that kind of stuff. But I read in the newspaper about Patty Bird and Louise Suggs and Babes Harriers. So these were some people that I looked up to who had been golf professionals in the WPGA. So all through my life, Patty Bird was sort of my idol and followed what she did. And she was encouraging to me as I began to play amateur golf, and she would appear and give clinics and we'd talk. And on the tour, having the same faiths, we went to church together each week, and we followed each other. She loved baseball, and when they had the World Series, we would sit and bet how many foul balls went right and who's going to strike out first. And we had a ball with that kind of stuff. So she liked baseball. She followed baseball. I like fishing. So I fished. I went fishing. I used to carry a portable fishing rod in my golf bag. So when I traveled, I had my. But at first, this is crazy. Do you ever have a popsicle? There's two sticks on one, and you break it, so you got one, and then and they had a stick in it. And if you save so many sticks, this is before I ever got to the golf course where we finally moved. This was in the city. I was 11 years old, and I saved these popsicle sticks. And with a quarter and 5 popsicle sticks, I got a fishing rod. What was I going to do with it? I didn't have a reel to go on it. We didn't live near a lake. I didn't go fishing. I got this fishing rod. Hey.
So, Shirley, as a little girl being so involved in golf every single day and being blessed with so many opportunities, it is so humbling to hear how it all started and just how it became possible. You are a legend, and I would like to personally thank you for being a founder and the 13th reason I am able to sit here today to speak with you. So I would love to know, why did you personally start the LPGA and join the founders? And what kept you motivated when men said that it wasn't possible?
The question is, why did we start an LPGA? Is that what you're saying?
You want me to repeat it?
See, I'm hard of hearing, so.
Okay, so why did you personally start the LPGA and join the founders? And what kept you motivated when the med said it wasn't possible? Did you get that?
Okay. Well, we were a group of ladies who were amateurs trying to play competitive against each other from different states. We didn't live near each other. We were in different states. And when we came together, we wanted to compete more. And we looked to the fact that there was a men's PGA. Why couldn't we have a PGA? So I guess that was our reasoning, is that we wanted to keep competing. The only thing we could compete in was invitational amateur tournaments that were played in Florida in the winter, and our parents didn't have money to send us to Florida in the winter. So only a group of ladies went to play in those amateur tournaments whose parents had money to let it happen. So that's basically getting together with this group that appeared, 11 of us, plus 2 that never did play with us. They just signed the charter. But we sat at a table, and he brought the charter, which we signed, and he was hired and paid to go out and get tournaments for us to play in. So that's why we had a group, and we all agreed by signing a piece of paper. We agreed that we would be part of that group and travel across our country. And 11 tournaments? Wow, that was big time. 11 tournaments we're gonna have. Well, what are we gonna do the other times of the year? How are we gonna make a living? How are we gonna make it happen? So that's why we represented companies that paid us 7 cents a golf club as royalty. So each month I got a royalty check from my golf craft company with how many Shirley Spork clubs they sold. Sarah, do you have one? A putter? Shirley Spork putter? Maybe some of you, or maybe Stephanie has a Shirley Spork club. They're kind of rare, but they're out there. They're still out there. They worked for the company 17 years. Does that kind of answer your question? Sophie, does that answer your question?
That was a great answer.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, also, I heard you really like ducks. What is it about that ducks that fascinate you so much?
Oh, let me tell you about ducks. You know, ducks make a noise. And when you hit a ducky shot, you can have a little happy time. and I collect miniature ducks, little teeny ones. And you're asking me the right question because I want you in your group to figure out how you can have a ducky tournament. And this ducky tournament will receive a Shirley Spork duck. It'll be a spooky Shirley Ducky Award.
Shirley, I
And
promise you, we are gonna have a ducky golf tournament.
I could have, and it's going to be a Ducky Award. And oh, I had a duck. I had the duck today. How many ducks did you have today? Or you could have a contest sometime where you're playing on a golf course that's got a pond of water on it, and you count how many ducks you see. So it gets you aware of ducks and how cute they are.
I promise you, I will make sure those will happen.
Good. That's
Now
something to
I'm
work
going to pass it on to Sabrina.
on. Right. Sabrina.
Thank you,
what-
Sophie. Shirley, I'm the youngest on this panel, and I think it is so incredible that at 93, you are so active and still out there on the golf course. I wanted to thank you for pushing boundaries, changing rules, and breaking barriers for women in golf. You inspire me to always reach for my dreams and to not let anyone get in the way of my hard work and dedication. I've been excited to ask you some questions. My first question, do you have any dreams left on a bucket list or anything you want to accomplish or do in your life?
There's something that I haven't accomplished that I would like to accomplish? Is that what you're saying? Well, one thing is I enjoyed travel, and I would like to have gone to New Zealand. I never made it to New Zealand because New Zealand has water and desert and mountains. It has everything that we have here in California, which I like also. You don't have any mountains in Florida, do you? I don't think so. Here we have mountains, so there's snow on them right now. And today it's 80, 82 here, right here on the desert floor. So they have a wonderful education system in New Zealand. And I hope that you all think of somewhere or something that you might like to do sometime in your lifespan. In travel, I enjoyed travel. Also, in later years, had a motor home and traveled in the motor home because we had two little doggies and they let us go with them. It was their home. So I continued to travel in a motor home for a while. That was fun. I think someone said, what other profession would you have liked to follow other than teaching? Because I went to college and had a teaching degree, and it expounded my energy and became a very fine teacher because of going to school. They taught me how to talk to a group. They taught me how to write as a teacher. They taught me all subjects, silly subjects like chemistry, organic chemistry. I thought, what do I need organic chemistry for? But that was part of the deal. But I love kinesiology and study of the muscles and how they worked and all that kind of stuff. So if I hadn't gone and become a golf professional, I would have liked to have been an anesthesiologist. Why would I want to be an anesthesiologist?
Shirley.
Because they saved your life. An anesthesiologist is more important than the doctor operating on you because they're controlling your breathing. So that was what I would have chosen to be an anesthesiologist. So that's your answer to your question, I think.
New Zealand sounds like a very cool place to visit. And my next question, I have heard many amazing stories from you, but I would love to hear about the time you played St. Andrews in Scotland. Can you tell us about the way they reacted to you as a female professional, golf professional?
Well, early in my professional career, I played with a gentleman whose company was Penfold Golf Ball Company. That you probably never saw a Penfold golf ball, but it had like diamonds, clubs, the things in the deck of cards on the ball. And our company distributed their golf ball in the United States. And I used the Penfold golf ball. So Mr. Penfold came to our country. I played 9 holes with him and shot 29 on 9 holes. And he was really impressed. I was impressed too. I had a lot of threes. And he said, would you like to come to England and give clinics? Oh, yeah, sure. So off I went to Scotland. And he said, well, what do you want to do when you first arrive? And I said, I want to go to St. Andrews and play St. Andrews. That was right. So he arranged for me to go and play at St. Andrews with 3 men in this little town at that time, St. Andrews. It's a cold, windy day, of course. It's always cold and windy. And he had all kinds of clothes on. And my manager, who was with me, went to town to buy some insulated underwear. She was cold. So I said, I'll see you later. So as I started to play, there were about 10 people. And each hole, there were more people. And more people and more people. And we get to the road hole, which is number 17, and my manager came back. And I said, well, what took you so long? Where are you? She said, well, all the stores are closed. There's a sign, American Lady Pro at Links. They closed their stores and came out to watch me play. Well, man, they weren't all women. It's the whole town came out. So that was really exciting, because when I got to the 18th tee, my manager says, you better do something, do some of your trick shots or something for him. So I had a big long tee that was made out of aluminum. It was tall. It was 12 inches tall. And I had to time it and, to get it. And then I did a little comic act where there was guys on Sunday and he had a headache and he could hardly pee it up and he was looking around and you just have to time it just perfect and off it went. So that was exciting. But then I got to go in the clubhouse, which, women were never allowed, could not enter the inner sanctum of the royal and ancient. And I got to go in. I thought, well, I didn't know what women couldn't go in. So we got in there and they showed me around the different rooms. And he said, would you like to see the boardroom? And I thought, yeah, I guess so. There's a big table there, real long table. And they had the photographer from the London Times to interview me. And he wanted to know how I could hit a wedge up in the air and make it stop. They didn't hit the ball up in the air because of the wind. So they were excited that I was hitting the ball up in the air and making it stop on the green. So he had a club. I didn't have my club there, but he had gotten my stand iron out of my bag and brought it, I guess. He said, well, show us how you do it. He said, no, get up on the table and show us how you do it. I stood on the table and swung this pitching sand iron club. Oh my goodness, I thought, what if I hit the table with this club? But we got through it. So he said, would you like to see the men's locker room? And I thought, what do I want to see the men's locker room for? So it's on the front of the building that you see a picture of with a bay window. It was a little small locker room, but it had overstuffed chairs. And the lockers had brass plates, 12 inches long, 3 inches wide, all around the wall. And that was their locker. But they sat smoking their pipe, drinking their sherry, and looking out the window to see who was teeing off. That room isn't even used that way anymore, because last year when I went to the Solheim, I went to see it again, and it's a library. It isn't the locker room anymore. But when I walked into their room, these two old gentlemen hopped up out of their chair. I thought, oh my God, a woman is in our premise. So that was somewhat exciting for them, and I guess exciting for me to see that it happened. But going back there last year and going in that room, it's full of books, and they're in cases, with doors on them. And I took my book and I said, I want to give this book to you, and here's a picture of me on your first tee. So it's in my books in their library now. Well, that's a plus. That's a ducky. So I've had a few duckies. So when I accomplish something, it's a ducky. And I don't know if Sarah has a picture, but I think I sent her a picture of my display of duckies. I have 2 shelves of duckies, teeny little duckies. Which is your favorite one, Sarah?
Well, I think it's the jar of duckies I made for you that has all the inspirational quotes, all the little duckies I gifted you, yeah? Those are
Great. Right. So now you all have a chance to collect duckies. The nicest thing about your program is you get together with other kids and you make friends and you have fun. And you're so fortunate to have Stephanie in the command post with her inventive ideas and the team she's put together to create efforts that have not all, but many of the other groups have copied. You're the number one in the line.
Shirley, we can't thank you enough, but I believe Sabrina has some closing words to say.
I still can't believe you have been on our Birdie Booth channel. Thank you for making golf possible for us and for being a huge inspiration.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime dream to be able to speak with you. You are such an incredible woman who means so much to our program personally. I promise to always drive on and to continue to push and change the face of this game.
Well, thank you. And the nice thing about golf is you got lots of time to make up on the next hole or the next hole or the next hole. Each hole's an adventure. It's a challenge, but take one person that you like on our tour today as a goal as to follow what they do. And when you play sometime with your buddy, take 2 balls, your ball and your favorite person's ball, and play one against the other. That's what I did. I didn't have any instruction, so I would take Patty Bird and Shirley, and we'd play 9 holes. And I'd take score for both of them. And it was amazing how
That's
the
incredible.
scores came out.
Wow, that's incredible. So Shirley, on a personal note, I love you so much, and I can't thank you enough for helping us add this legendary interview to our archives. We will always be able to learn and strive on to carry your legacy and teach our future generations after us to drive on. That's our promise to you, to always leave this game better than we found it. Thank you for driving on for us, and we will continue to drive on for you.